Hey guys, so I promised to finish off our little kitty cat, Diablo, on video. I finished off his hat, as you can see, and this is how he's looking. See all the details. I did the leather on his hat with the little bit of gold. I like putting the lines to make him look more cartoonish. And I said I would show you how I was going to do the background. So as this is a Wild Western style wanted poster, I'm going to make this look like dirty aged paper. So I'm actually going to start, I have a pan pastel here. This is Yellow Ochre Tint, 270.8. I've got a tool here. I'm actually going to start by basing some colour down. And if you don't have the pan pastels, do not worry. I would suggest, if you've got normal soft pastels, to use like a cream or an ivory. Anything that's an off-white, really. If you don't have pastels, you could just base it with a yellowish pencil. You could also do something like this in watercolor as well, or just get some coffee. Throw some coffee on here. Don't throw coffee on your page. Know what I mean by that, okay? Don't ruin your page. What I mean is, take some coffee, put it on a paintbrush, and use that like a watercolor. I do not mean go and spill a whole cup of coffee on your page. I should point out, actually, this is from the Portrait Pan Pastel set. You can buy them as singles. This one is from the Portraiture set, which is the set I have. I love using them for backgrounds. Particularly on paper that I know doesn't take water medium very well. This will take it, but in certain colouring books that don't take water media, pan pastel is a great option. I'm not too worried about these fiddly bits down here, as I'll be going over this with pencil anyway. I'm also not trying to get this even. It's supposed to look like old paper. It's not supposed to look all smooth. It's going to be blotchy. We want this wanted poster to look like it's been up for ages, and that this sassy kitty cat hasn't been caught in all that time. Because it's good to give your colouring page a story. I'm going straight over all the lettering as well. I'll be putting that back in. So All right. That looks good. It's coming up quite yellow on camera. It's not that yellow in real life. My pastel doesn't it's not that dusty. Just rubbing this in. So I'm not actually going to bother putting fixative on top. You can if you want to, but I haven't put that much down, so I'm not particularly bothered. Okay, so I've got a range of colours that I'm going to be using, and fair warning, it is a typical me style, lots of different colours. But I think we're going to start with some, get this into camera, brown ochre, 10%, which is a luminance. And where I really want to focus is on these grayscale. You can see the grayscale quite nicely. I can bring you in a bit. Hang on. Right, let me get this. Let me get this seam right. Right, there we go. This is where you want to focus, is on the grayscale, which is going to be in the corners and the edges. If you think about a paper flyer, that's where it will be worn most, because that's where it's going to be touched the most. The wind is going to batter it. So that's where we want to focus our colour. I'm holding the pencil quite a bit back. I think the thing actually to get this kind of effect is the messier you make it, probably the better. It would look good that way. Next up is wheat. So this is a Lightfast that we actually used when doing this page. I'm going to use that to blend that out a bit. You can of course use a blender. You could use blending solution. Like I said, I'm not too bothered by it at the moment, because I want it to look old. Let's take a look. I think, yeah. Next up, I'm going to bring in brown ochre, 50%. So this is another luminance. I'm working quite lightly in circular strokes, or sort of ovular strokes. I want to build up the colour. Also helps to get a pretty decent gradient in between the change of colours from the edge inwards. You can already see actually the difference now between this corner now and this corner. Starting to get that change already. So I'm going to come back in now with the 10% brown ochre to help blend that out a bit. It doesn't have to be super neat, but I'm going to do this bit by bit. I'm not going to do it all as one. Just one corner at a time. The Lightfast and the Luminance work really well together. That's why I'm using them here together. Albeit Luminance is wax and Lightfast are oil, they still blend together like butter. I have no issues blending them. This is back to wheat. Some people have noticed that the Luminance are a bit, some of the colours can be a bit scratchy. Looking at you, Castle Earth. I find none of the Lightfast are scratchy whatsoever. The best way I describe them is they're like a marriage between Prismas and Luminance. They've got the creaminess of a Prisma, yet sort of more of that hardness of Luminance because they're an oil. They really are a gorgeous pencil. And there's no colour in the Lightfast I don't like. They honestly have just gorgeous colours all around. Okay. This is the Lightfast brown ochre. All of the colours I think in the Lightfast are useful. So the brown ochre I'm just going to use very much just in the very edge. You could of course use the Luminance brown ochre, which I also have. That's actually a little bit on the browner side. It's strange. Both called brown ochre, and yet they're actually quite different. This one's more of a bronzy, whereas the Luminance is got more of a, I think, red undertone. Now, a trick for this is keep your edge uneven. Don't go in straight lines. Bring out some of the colours further. Keep some perhaps more closer to the edge. That helps with making it look irregular and more natural. But yeah, so obviously both of these pencils, they are artist quality. They are not cheap. So if you're on the fence between these two brands, the best thing I can recommend is get a single, a few singles of each, and see which you prefer. Because we all have totally different tastes in pencils, each to our own. And you're not going to know if you like something unless you try it. You know, the worst thing is to invest in a full set of pencils and realise that you don't actually particularly like them that much. This is back with the 50% brown ochre. and backed with wheat. Okay, so that edge is looking pretty good. But what I'm going to do is, let's come back with the 10% brown ochre. It's not just the edge that I want to do. I do want to add in odd shapes actually on the poster itself. So that was the 10%. Oops, it daisy, I just hit the pencil drop. Let me go get that. Right, pencil rescued. It is fine. Landed on the carpet. This is 50%. So again, using white because I just want to have an idea of just where I want some odd shapes to go. Back with a 10% brown ochre. What we're basically doing is creating sort of stains in the paper. And this is wheat again to blend it out. This then is where you can get a little bit creative. So I've got here, again, these are both colours we're using on the cat. Yellow ochre and light bronze. And what you can do, you can come in and make, basically you need a squiggle. So just make strange little, and you can add in a bit of yellow ochre, suggest yellowing, and then you want this to look really random. It's to give the paper the effect of texture. You can come in with a little bit of wheat if you want to. Blend it in or tone it down. But that makes it look a bit more realistic. So let's continue on this edge over here. I'm going to have to turn it a little, I'm afraid. Try not to turn it too much. And this is again 10% brown ochre. But we all like different kinds of pencils. And what one person likes, you might not necessarily like. So it is always worth trying singles before committing to a full set. Especially artist grade pencils. Maybe I can bring that back round now. Not everybody gets along with the Prismacolors. I love them, but some people find them way too soft. Not not everybody even likes the polys. So it is all personal preference. It's also a good way of supporting your, if you've got a local independent art shop, is they often sell the singles. If you're looking for singles internationally of most pencils, cult pens, you can buy, I think, get almost every kind of pencil except Prismas on their website. And they ship internationally. On this curled over edge, the light will hit the top here. And then the bit that's curled over will be a little bit more shadowed. As you can see, I'm just making odd shapes. I'm extending that a bit. Brown ochre. By putting down the pan pastel just as a base, it just means I don't have to do as much work to get colour down. Just sort of speed things up, basically. This is the Luminance brown ochre. Back to 50% brown ochre. I really enjoy being part of the Colourathon and doing this image. It was really great. I have to thank Shell for inviting me. There were so many beautiful images. Everybody did an amazing job. And we had sort of the full range of images. Shell did one of more Julia's sort of realistic portraits. Karen and I both did one of her cats. Ashley did that really cute owl. Everybody just did such a great job. Nice to see such a range. She really is an artist that caters, I think, for every taste. Okay, so it's 10% again. That's the reason I'm doing this back on camera, so you can see it finished off. And I had a great time, so it'd be nice to come back on with this. Okay, so I'm going to blend out this squiggly shape I made down here. You can make whatever pattern shapes you want back with wheat to blend. You could also use buff titanium if you wanted. Albeit I'm doing this as a mix, you could probably just do this in luminance. Okay, so I've got some light bronze to make the squiggles. Literally can do no wrong with the squiggles. You can sort of see them on the edge that Julia's put in. And I have the yellow ochre. That'd be particularly good up here. That corner part probably would get quite yellowed. And just be random. Okay, so I like that. I have noticed up here there's a little like a nail. So hang on, if I bring you in even closer. Here we go, this little nail. So I've got a bit of Prismacolor now. This is 50% cool grey. Let me bring it over so you don't have the French. And I've got 70% cool grey. You could blend that out with white. I'm actually gonna blend it out with the wheat. Then I've got some black. I've got my Faber-Castell black here, but you can use whatever brand. Get the shadow in. Back with the 50% cool grey. And what I've also got is a bit of sandstone. And what I'm going to do is if I add a little bit of that in, we're going to get like a sort of rusty-ish nail. Especially if I then come in with some of the brown ochre too. And that suggests this poster has been up for a while. As for the lettering, I think you could just use a marker. You could just use a gel pen. I've just got my pencil here, but you can do it with whatever. I always try to encourage, be laid back with your colouring. Don't worry if you don't have the same supplies or same tools, but just chill about it. It's okay. Art is so, it's something to be interpreted. Just do it your own way with what you've got, how you want it. I mean, albeit these are sort of semi-tutorials. I'm not showing you how really to do something. I'm showing you how I do it. And I think I would rather you take away the technique than the tools. The tools don't make the artist, it's the technique. That's key. I love how Julia's drawn these wanted letters in sort of that old-fashioned block style. These would have been printed on printing press. Love how authentic it is. When they were doing it on printing press, what was super impressive is when they were setting up printing presses, they had to spell everything backwards. And then it would print the right way around. I might also add in a little bit of black, just in some areas up here. And then just go over it with the brown ochre. There we go. Okay, let's bring you back out. There we go, that's a good effect. You could also go over with a bit of grey if you wanted to dull sections of the lettering down. Again, no need to be super precise. So I will just carry on using the same technique. Back with the 50%, oh, 10%, this is 10% brown ochre. And this kind of background isn't limited just to like a wanted poster like this. You could honestly do it on any sort of page really, where you would just want a parchment effect in the background. This is the 50%. It might work, I suppose, quite well for maybe some kind of pirate themed page. Certainly if you want to do some kind of treasure map. And that's why I try to emphasize technique over anything, because yes, I'm showing you this technique on a wanted poster, this colouring page, but you can apply it to whatever you want. Brown ochre. In the UK recently we had quite the heat wave. It was getting up to, I think, 30, 32 degrees, which of course my cats loved because that meant sunbathing. And they'll find any piece of concrete or metal that gets really hot in the sun and they will just sunbathe there the whole day, sleeping. My dogs, on the other hand, oh, they hate the heat. They don't do well. I mean, they have a thick double coat, so they get really warm. So I was giving them ice, try to keep them cool. Where I have a paddling pool for the dogs. They love going in that, splashing around. And of course, they don't let me dry them. No. They shake everywhere and then run through the whole house with their wet paws. Because they're little terrors. And both my dogs also love, I make them frozen yogurt. I take natural yogurt, I'll put berries in it, blueberries, strawberries. I'll put that in the freezer. And then give it to them like an ice lolly. They love yogurt. Back with wheat. But that heat wave definitely sort of showed the difference. Cats, very independent, just sleeping away in the sun. Dogs, they needed a lot of attention to make sure they didn't overheat. They didn't even want to be walked during the heat wave, they just slept all day. I did take them out for short walks then during the evening when it got cooler. Okay, so I have the light bronze now to make some squiggles. I also have the yellow ochre. If you apply more yellow ochre, you'll make the parchment look even older. The more yellow it is, the older it will look. But what it did mean is that during the heat wave, oh my gosh, were my pencils blending? It was so warm. I mean, my prismas became almost like crayons. Even my Lightfast, which I'm using now, even they became pretty soft. Must have just sharpen my fingers for a second. Good old trusty Staedtler sharpener. I go through about, I don't know, quite a few, I think probably about half a dozen sharpeners a year. Because you need to keep them sharp. The way to tell if a pencil sharpener is sharp, this one's actually probably doing it dull now, is if the shavings are whole, so you get like a really nice clean bit of wood shaving, that's a sharp pencil sharpener. But if you're getting sort of bits, then it's dull. But yeah, so during the heat, my pencils, I mean, typically I don't use the Lightfast on crease-based paper. I find crease-based paper does not like oil pencils, certainly not for me at least. But the heat made everything blend. My Lightfast luminance Prismas, they were all working on crease-based paper. Yeah, I think it's surprising actually just how much effect climate can have on pencils. Back with 50% brown ochre. I mean, the heat would certainly affect oil pencils less. I mean, with the wax pencils, it was weakening the wax. And I think with the oil, it was probably affecting the binder more than the oil itself. But pretty fascinating, really. So over this bottom curl, the bottom is going to be in shadow, and then the tip of the curl is going to be highlighted, reverse of the top curl. Brown ochre. I'm one of the few people who seem to not mind the create-based paper. I don't mind it at all, and I do use my expensive pencils in those colouring books. It's mainly a Hannah Lynn I've got printed on the CreateSpace. I think, I mean, don't get me wrong, you're not going to get tons of layers on the CreateSpace paper, but I find that wax pencils work pretty decently on it. This is the Luminance Brown Ochre. And all the Hannah Lynn images I do are straight in the books on the Amazon paper. Alright, back with the 50%, which I think also needs a bit of a sharpen. It's quite a big area to do in pencil. Another reason I based it to try and lessen how much pencil I would need. As you can see, I'm coming further in compared to the top. I only came in at the edge. Here the grayscale comes in more, so I think it's just worn more on the bottom, according to the grayscale. And back with the 10%. As for this paper, this is the Clairefontaine Paint On 250 GSM mixed media paper. I was asked about the tooth of this paper. It's relatively it's actually really hard to describe because everybody describes toothiness differently. For me, this is not particularly toothy. It has, if you take Bristol board as the smoothest of the smooth, then this has more texture than Bristol board. But it is certainly not what I would call textured like fine grain or rough grain. It's not like that. It is a smooth paper. It's just not as smooth. It's just not super smooth. Like I said, it's all relative. I think it's a thick. You can hear that it's almost like cardstock. It reminds, I'm trying to think if there's any colouring book I've got with paper with it. It reminds me of the paper in Wild Soul and Slavic Beauties, but thicker. But texture-wise, it's similar to that. Like I said, it all depends on what you call textured and toothy. It is nowhere near as toothy as the Strathmore mixed media. Absolutely no way. It's totally different from that one. So don't let the mixed media part of the name put you off. It is nothing like that. A lot of the papers I use are the Dale Rowney ones, but I know they're quite difficult to get in America. Right, so here's the bronze, the like bronze. You could also use a Prismacolor bronze, you don't have to use. Let me get this in frame. And then yellow ochre. Okay, that looks good. Got a bit more wheat. Just blend this section out with. Right, let's go back over to this edge. This is the 50% brown ochre. And don't worry if for some reason that when you're sort of doing something like this, if you pick up colour from like the main part of your image, it smudges a bit. Again, that just adds texture to the background. A lot of the time, I think we're trying to smooth out our pencils a lot, but whilst that is correct in some places like skin, a lot of the time you need texture, so leave it in. Back with the 10%. Brown ochre. And this is the luminance brown ochre. I haven't got as much colouring done during July. It's been a busy month. Got quite a bit to work, and that heat wave. I didn't want to colour much during that heat. I couldn't really focus much. I ended up reading quite a bit instead. My other big love is reading. If I'm not colouring, I'm reading when I'm not studying. I think I own something like over 300 physical books, and that doesn't even count my ebooks. And doesn't even count my colouring books. They're all stored in separate places. So during the heat, I couldn't focus on the colouring page. I was reading typically fantasy books. And the dogs would snuggle up with me because they were so tired. So I'd have a book and a Labrador, which is always a nice way to spend an evening. Okay, back with the light bronze to make our squiggles. And the more random you can make them, the better. And the yellow ochre. Also, during the heat, if I was too tired to do both colouring or reading, I had Netflix on. I don't watch a ton of television, but I do like some of the things on Netflix. I am a bit 10% Veronica. I'm a bit of a horror lover. So I was watching the new Fear Street movies, which I was enjoying. There's actually a lot more plot to them than I was expecting. I was expecting it just to be just horror. There's a lot more plot. I enjoyed it. They were more just gruesome than actual like really, really scary. Certainly for me. So as long as you don't mind gruesomeness, they're pretty good. I don't really mind that kind of stuff because I watch a lot of the anime shows on Netflix, like Castlevania. Never really bothered me. Not to mention, I have cats, and albeit they, you know, they're not exactly the smiley, sassy cats in this colouring page. They go outdoors, they hunt, they bring me presents, leave them in really awkward places for you to find. But that's cats, it's their nature. Can't be mad at them for it. 50% brown ochre. And then I was watching, what was it? I was watching Fear Street, and then I was watching The Dead Don't Die, which is the craziest zombie movie I've ever seen. It's like slapstick horror. It's funny, and it's horror. And it's a zombie film. It was crazy. I really enjoyed it. Bill Murray's in it. And I was watching these films in the evening, you know, evening, night time. It wasn't bothering me. I don't really get totally freaked out by movies. I know it's totally fiction, so I don't know what I'd be like with a psychological sort of thriller, but when it comes to just sort of the horror stuff, I'm usually fine with it. I always surprise people in the fact that I will literally watch almost any kind of movie. There's no genre I don't really watch. I have been known to watch a rom-com with my mum. Okay, back to brown ochre. And then my two sort of latest loves on Netflix have been Blood of Zeus, which if you enjoy Greek mythology, please watch it. That is amazing. And also Violet Evergarden. Oh my gosh, that show is so beautifully emotional. I was in tears. And almost nothing brings me to tears. I'm a very stoic person, but that had me. And that was beautiful. the heat gave me excuse to just troll Netflix and find all these amazing shows. I didn't realise half of the good stuff on there. I think that's the whole point of Netflix. You spend like half the time trawling through to find what you want to watch and then the other half actually watching it. Because they have a ton on there. And they're always adding stuff. I want to get a Disney Plus subscription for a month or two so I can watch some of the new Disney things. So many streaming services these days. But hopefully I'll be able to go back to cinema soon. Really miss the cinema. This is the Luminance Brown Ochre. Disney's Luca is one of the ones I want to see. That looks really fun. And I wouldn't mind watching Cruella as well. I like the villain, like backstory films Disney does, like they did with Maleficent. So hopefully things can get back to normal-ish soon. Certainly here in the UK at least. I know that for other countries it's everybody's at a different stage of battling to get back to normalcy. Back with, the yellow ochre here. I thought that was wheat, but that's fine. We'll do the yellowing first and then I'll come in with the wheat. There's the wheat. Okay, I have the light bronze right here to do. all those random bits. So that's looking pretty good now. And we'll do the second bit of writing down here. Pull you in. It's quite fiddly, this bit. Quite small. Last time I was out and about, it was actually quite nice. Got to sit in Costa to have what they call a frostino, aka a milkshake. It's just a fancy name. It's got a fancy name, but it is a milkshake, and that was really nice. Once you do track and trace, you can just sit in there with a drink. It was nice to do something that normal. I was out book shopping that day. I'm currently learning how to drive. I've been learning since last November, so I'm on the road with my provisional license. I'm pretty near test on it now. So my run is get in the car with an adult, obviously. I'm not breaking the law. So with one of my parents. I'll drive down to my local bookstore. Well, to a local town that has a bookstore. And that's when I got my milkshake. I'll be in typical British weather fashion now. It's gone back to being quite cold and wet. So next time I go in there, I might actually have hot chocolate instead. They do a ruby cocoa hot chocolate, which is really nice. And that's just so typical of us Brits. We complain when it's too hot, probably because nowhere in only like corporate buildings in the UK have air conditioning. So we complain when it's too hot, and then we complain when it's too wet and cold. 70% cool grey. So yeah, when you see in those films Brits complaining about the weather, it is totally accurate. 50% cool grey. We all like that. The black for shadow. Back with the 50%. Wheat to then highlight. touch of sandstone for a rusty effect. You don't have to do rusty if you don't want to, but I thought it would look cool. Brown ochre. And add to the vibe. So I think that's this page almost finished. Just sort of need to add back in these lines, which you don't have to do if you don't want to. And his whiskers. Now I finished this, is technically not a whip, but my other whip actually happens to be also Wild West themed, so I'm clearly liking that theme at the moment. And albeit that one is a human portrait. So if I raise the camera up a bit, you can sort of see the semi-full effect. I think that looks pretty good now. As you can see, it is completely easy to do. And it just brings the whole page together. So that is my wanted kitty cat, Diablo, as I'm calling him, by Julia Spiri. I hope you've enjoyed this, learnt some new techniques, and use it on your own images. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.